Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something that I probably about 3 or 4 years ago I would have just thrown in the trash and been done with it. But with today, the way things are going, I am using everything to its fullest, trying to find ways to use things that I never would have used before. So who remembers my failed sourdough loaf from a couple of weeks ago? Well, I do. I had it in the freezer, and I need to get stuff out of my freezer, not be putting stuff back in my freezer. So what I'm going to do today is make bread pudding. Now, the only person in my house that likes bread pudding is my hubby. So I'm going to make this specifically for him, and I'll make something else for the rest of the family. So today I'm going to be using up my failed sourdough bread loaf. So this was a shorter ferment recipe for sourdough I was trying out, and as you can see, it really didn't work. I have a 24-hour ferment sourdough recipe that I use that works perfectly great, but I wanted something shorter, and obviously for me this was not it. So normally I would have just thrown this out or fed it to the birds, but hubby suggested bread pudding, which he likes, so I'm going to try to turn this into bread pudding. So here it is, and I'm going to make bread pudding. So I cut it up into cubes, and you should probably cut them up a little bit smaller than I did here, because I did break them up a little bit more when I was putting them in the pan. So I have some raisins, and this is just for him, so I wouldn't be putting this in if anybody else was eating this. So he likes his raisins soaked in some rum, so that's what I'm going to do. So I just put the raisins in a bowl, just a little bit, probably like maybe a tablespoon or so. Yeah, it wasn't more than a tablespoon. I didn't measure. I did measure the bread because I wanted to make sure I had enough of the milk, and I am using my water glass eggs and the raisins, and there are my spices. This came together pretty easily. So now that my bread is all measured out, I know how much I need of other ingredients, and I'm going to use 4 eggs in this, and I'm using my water glass eggs. As you can see, these are good. They're not floating. I always water test them and before I start using them, as well as smell. And as you can see, they are beautiful. They don't look any different from normal eggs. Usually they're runnier than this, so I don't know what's going on, but it's working. So I'm just going to mix up my eggs, beat up my eggs before I add in my spices. I'm not measuring anything, basically to taste. I didn't have any nutmeg, so I used some cardamom this time, and he said it tasted good. I didn't taste it because I don't like it, so yeah, it smelled good cooking, so I pretty much did a good job. It's basically making like the mix for French toast. That's what it reminded me of, the mix for French toast, and that's basically what it is. So if you have some of this left over, you can use it for French toast, and I might do that one day this week. So I have everything mixed up, and I'm putting just a touch of vanilla, and then I'm going to put my sugar in, make sure that's all dissolved before I put it over my breadcrumbs, my bread chunks, cubes in the actual pan. So the pan I'm using today is about 10 by 13 or so, 15 or so. It's an unusual size. I actually got it from Aldi. And I'm just going to put some butter to grease the pan so the pudding doesn't stick. And then I'm just going to start layering in my bread. This is where I probably should have broken up the bread a little bit better than what I chopped it up, because I felt that it took more time to absorb the liquid. And if it would have been in smaller chunks, then I figured it would have absorbed the liquid faster than what it did. So now that I've got everything layered in, and I did break up some of the top pieces smaller, so I'm just going to pour my liquid over my bread crumbs. Why do I keep saying crumbs? Chunks and raisins. And I'm going to let this sit and absorb for about a half an hour before I put it in the oven. So basically I'm just going to preheat my oven and wait till this absorbs to put it in. So I am pressing it down, make sure all those bread cubes get soaked up in the liquid, and into the oven it goes. As long as it took my oven to preheat, that's how long I let it sit and absorb the liquid that I put over it. And this is what it looks like out of the oven. I will say I probably should have covered it. I got distracted and it got a little bit brown on the top, but he enjoyed it. So if I have any other failed sourdough bread, which I don't very often, this was a new sort of technique and recipe to me. But if I do in the future, I will be reserving that for bread pudding in the future. So here's what my 24-hour ferment sourdough bread loaves look like. And I usually just do these in the winter because the ferment and keeping them warm overnight usually is helped by the heat that's in the house. So during the summertime I really don't make these, but this is what they look like. This is what they turn out to be look like. So this I can do. This shorter ferment may not be for me. Thank you so much, friends, for staying to the end. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. Have a great day.